There are a lot of fascinating and unique things about Ally Beardsley's RPG playstyle. They're great at using the medium as a way to express their thoughts and their emotions in interesting and funny ways, and we get to watch their progression from a complete newbie to a tactical mastermind. But what I think is most interesting and what we can learn most from is how they create character arcs. Every one of their characters so far grows and changes over the course of their respective season. Pete the Plug struggles to accept his new powers and his new responsibilities. Liam Wilhelmina has an identity crisis and is forced to explore his relationship to violence. And Margaret Encino rethinks her place in the world as more than just a corporate cop. But today, I mostly want to focus on Kristen Applebee's. Kristen is a teenager who, at the center of her story, is having a crisis of faith. She was raised in a prominent religion and throughout the course of the season has her beliefs challenged in some pretty intense and personal ways. And I think this particular season is a great opportunity to talk about character arcs in TTRPGs. How to set them up, how to effectively add challenges and obstacles throughout the story, and then, ultimately, how to resolve them. Though I should note that an effective character arc isn't just the players doing, though they are the driving force. There needs to be DM collaboration as well. So let's get into it. Spoilers for Season 1 of Fantasy High. When we first meet Kristen, she is praying to the corn god in her room. She's been praying for a long time and intends on praying for a lot longer.
You hear a knock on the door, and you hear the voice of your mom say, "Kristen, you up in there? You almost ready to go to school, sweetheart?"
Sure am. I just finished praying.
All right, saying your prayers to the corn god, Helio, praise be.
I am. I'm almost done. Just another hour.
Okay, we're gonna be pretty late if you were gonna do a whole hour.
Okay, I guess I can. Everything is a form of prayer, so I guess I'll just go. Let's go.
See, your mom gets a little misty-eyed and she says, "Oh, sweetheart, I'm so glad that you were chosen, and Pastor Amelia is so proud of you. And listen, it's not too late for us to send you to Sun Peak to go train."
No, Mom! I want to rub shoulders with real people. I want to go to parties and dump my beer down the sink and refill the beer can with water so no one feels weird around me.
Gotcha. Look, she says, she says, look, Helio asks us to live a pure life, right? You're going to be going to a school with, elves and...
Mom, I think your and Dad's stance is racist.
How can I be racist against an elf? I never met one. I don't even know an elf.
Exactly, you've never met one.
Okay, so
you know
this
what?
is because...
If Helio was here right now, he would pop out of a corn husk. He would pop into a million different pieces of himself, and he would spread those pieces around to all parts of the city. He wouldn't just be hanging out here.
Okay. I'm not smart enough to go toe-to-toe with you, Kristen. I'm a simple woman. I haven't read the book as close. I'm not chosen, so...
You're really smart, Mom, okay? I love you, and I think you're really smart. And I think you're relying on... I don't know very much. I want to hear you never say that again.
We learn a lot about her in a very short amount of time. We quickly understand her family dynamic and her place in her religion. Not only does she have deeply held beliefs, but her religion is also how she relates to her family and her community. She's also Helio's chosen, so clearly ego is at play too. The first step of establishing who the character is really important because a character needs to have a starting point to have an effective character arc. They need to evolve and they need to grow. They can't just start out being exactly who they are at the end if you want them to have an arc. And just to be clear, you don't have to have a character arc in a TTRPG campaign. It's perfectly fine to be a static character who never really changes on a personal level. Several Dimension 20 characters fall into this category, but this video is about creating character arcs, so let's move on. So while Kristen is extremely devout, she doesn't perfectly fit into her community's expectations. She calls out her parents on their prejudices, and she makes the choice to go to the Eggford Academy instead of a private Helioic school. She also chooses to get detention and integrate herself with the bad kids. She does this in hopes of converting them, but it makes her also a bit more open to change. Because change is the most important part of the character arc. Without change, there is no arc. So your character needs to have opportunities to be exposed to different ways of thinking. This was Ally's way of achieving that, and it's also a good reason for Kristen to join the party. After their first combat comes the inciting incident of Kristen's arc. In their first combat, Kristen dies. She wakes up in heaven and she meets all of these followers of Helio, and she even gets the chance to meet her god. And he kind of sucks. Despite that, Kristen gets the choice to ask Helio a question that has presumably been bothering her for quite a while.
Hey, can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Why is there so much suffering in the world?
Later. And you disappear. You are vanished and snap into your blood-covered body on the floor of the cafeteria.
I don't know if Helio is as smart. I need another god, maybe.
This is the first major challenge that Kristen faces. As far as she understood, Helio had all of the answers. But if he didn't answer her question, what did that mean? What if he doesn't have all the answers? So Kristen starts searching elsewhere for those answers. And this is the setup for her arc. She was loyal to her religion, believed in it wholeheartedly, until she was shut down for asking a simple question. Now comes the step of challenging these beliefs. Kristen's beliefs get challenged in a couple of different ways. One of the first things Kristen does is read up on other religions as well as the history of her own. She discovers some pretty horrendous things. Kristen believed her religious community was good through and through, and to find out that they had this history of horrible atrocities shakes her faith even more. But I think the most significant challenge to Kristen's faith comes from a scene in a bar, which is later followed by a conversation with a character she previously looked up to. Kristen meets a young woman named Tracker. There's an instant mutual attraction, and they start talking about religion and Helio, and how Tracker asked the same question that Kristen asked and was kicked out of her house for it.
What do you mean you met God?
I died. I was able to meet God. I asked him why there was suffering in the world that he supposedly created, and he said, "Catch you later." And it sucked. But you know what? I'm gonna stick with this one until I find the next one. You know, you don't let go of a vine until you're holding on to another one, especially when it's this important to you.
See, she says, that's the exact question I asked that made my parents throw me out.
What?
I asked my parents why Soul would let that happen, and they kicked me out of the house.
Oh my God. What happened? You don't have to share with me. By the way, I'm Kristen Applebee's.
You see, she takes your hand,
Don't give real names.
takes it, kisses it, and goes, I'm Tracker. Tracker is talking to you, and she says, there's just like a lot that I feel like losing faith shakes up in you, but it also has so much to like offer you, and you can see things that you didn't see before, and you can feel things that maybe you didn't let yourself feel before.
Whoa, yeah, that's so interesting. I feel like, you know, sometimes I take a break from praying for 4 hours every night, and that's like every Tuesday. And with those 4 hours, I just end up doing great works.
She leans forward and kisses you on the mouth.
Ah! Oh, actually, I don't kiss.
This is a scene that is difficult for Kristen for a whole bunch of reasons. One is her faith is being directly criticized, though that's not too new, she's been doing that herself. But also, she's learning that she might be gay, which is presumably something that's kind of taboo for her faith. Well, actually, we know that it's more than taboo, because pretty soon after that scene, Kristen has a conversation with Coach Daybreak about all the things that she's learned, and it's, eye-opening.
I was praying this morning, and I thought about a friend of mine, and I just need some advice. I was praying for her, and she doesn't know if she's Helioic anymore. What should I tell her?
I mean, I cut her off, you know, because she's going straight to hell.
Really?
Yeah, cut her off. I mean, there's no point messing around with that stuff. She is
Well, you know, what if some of it's right? Like, some of it started because someone was like, we gotta really be good, or else Earth is gonna be hell, you know, but maybe not all of it, like all the little rules and stuff, maybe that part, that just kind of got added on at the end, and now we're still living with it, you know?
People that do believe in Helio are good people, right? Because they wouldn't believe in Helio if they weren't good people.
Yeah, it kind of makes you become a good person too.
Right.
And focusing on...
So the way I look at it is like this. The things that people who believe in Helio do are good, right? And the things that people do that don't believe in Helio, those are bad. I'm trying to think.
My other friend's gay.
Well, they're going to hell. When I think about people that aren't like me, I get so mad. And it feels like there's a sun inside me that's burning my insides, right? And, you know, whether Soul says do something or don't do something, I believe in him. So I'd rather believe in him and not do what he said than do what he said and not believe in him. Does that make sense?
Yeah. This bracelet, because I think I'm never gonna wear it again.
She indirectly confides the struggles she's been having with an elder in her community, and she's met with outright hostility. If she tells the people who are supposed to love and support her the most about what is actually going on in her life, it will not go well. Later on, Kristen learns that the summer camp she attended as a kid was run by a militant cult called the Harvestmen, who are trying to basically end the world. And she realizes that a lot of her childhood experiences weren't normal and were essentially abuse. These challenges shake Kristen's sense of community with her faith, as well as outright putting her in danger if she shares too much. It basically dislodges her anchor as a person, and this is the scene where she essentially renounces Helio. Each of these challenges are a collaboration between Ally and Brennan, player and DM. Ally seems to have set the parameters of the arc, and Brennan designs the specifics. And then they play out the scenes, adding details and improvising their way through it. Speaking of improvising, I remember hearing somewhere that Ally improvised Kristen's involvement with the Harvestmen, as Brennan didn't actually give them much information ahead of time about that, which I think is a really funny detail. I think the collaboration is extremely important here, because without both parties agreeing to this and working together, the arc just doesn't happen. Without Ally making it clear that they want to do a Crisis of Faith storyline, Brennan doesn't really have anything to work with. And without a cooperative DM, Ally doesn't have any exterior challenges to force Kristen to grow and to change. Like most things in RPGs and in life, communication and collaboration is key. So now Kristen's faith has been properly challenged, and the foundation of her life up to this point has been shaken. She's ready to change, but doesn't yet have anything to change into. She's open and vulnerable, but hasn't found an answer to her question that satisfies her. This is the trickiest part of any character arc, in my opinion. Creating a satisfying end to an arc or story is always difficult. I think for a character arc, though, you need to stay focused on the character, who they are now after all the challenges, questions, and obstacles, and what is it they need to learn. Not what they want to hear, what they need to learn. For Kristen, she needs the cold, hard, honest truth. Why is there so much suffering in the world? Why do bad things happen to good people? So who better to talk to than the endless cold void of the universe itself?
You hear a soft voice speaking to you from all around, and it says, "You've been asking a question for quite some time. Would you like to ask it here? What is your question?"
Why and who?
Who is easy. It is us, everything, and you. Why is harder. Why is something that only you can decide. The universe doesn't have a why. Bad things happen to good people because things happen all the time, and it is up to people to determine whether they are bad or good. In the same way that your heart feels and your mind thinks, you, mortal beings, are the instrument by which the universe cares. If you choose to care, then the universe cares. And if you don't, then it doesn't.
I care.
As you say, I care, your heart glows with incredible power, a deep red and pink and then purple expanding out through the void. You see that the void, you can feel warmth and happiness from your choice to care. If you care, we care. Kristen, what is a god worthy of your worship?
Just an enthusiastic yes with an exclamation point floating in the sky.
A giant 3-dimensional block letters, yes! With an exclamation mark, appears in front of you.
Through this conversation, Kristen finally finds an answer that satisfies her. Bad things happen to good people because things happen to people. And it's people who assign the values of good and bad to those things. She gets to create her own deity to worship, one that suits her. For the moment at least. I think this is a great ending to Kristen's arc, because the choice to create her own deity is an effective metaphor for essentially coming of age, becoming your own person and choosing who to be, while shedding the expectations that others have for you. And then immediately regretting your first real decision is also a very funny and realistic touch. And I think that's why this ending is a satisfying one. It's an experience that most people have as a young adult. The coming of age part, not the creating a god part. A lot of us have moments where we realize the place we were born into or the beliefs that we were taught don't really work for us, and we have to find our own way in the world. The ending of an arc might seem like it's all on the DM. They have to come up with the final thread and just kind of hope the player likes it, but I don't think that's entirely true. I think if the player and the DM are in constant communication about it, and they discuss possibilities and the DM allows for player agency, I think the workload can be fairly even. Even so, the player is the driving force behind a character arc. They're the ones who spark the process and come up with the idea, and they're the ones who have final say over the direction it goes, and they're the ones that have to live through it. Shout out to my channel members, Viva Fox, my mom, Caleb Eggensberger, and Znun. I hope you found this video helpful and or entertaining, and if you did, I have a bunch more videos on my channel analyzing the player and DM styles of a bunch of different folks in the TTRPG space, including the one and only Lou Wilson, which you can check out here. If you did like it, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and consider becoming a channel member if you want to support me and see my videos early. Thank you so much for watching.